Good evening, Chair Carson, Vice Chair Harris, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. This evening's Pathways 2022 Spotlight highlights Goal 2, school and community relationships. The 9 educators who we will spotlight momentarily are recipients of a Caroline Education Foundation Innovation Grant. The CEF organization's mission aligns directly with CCPS's strategic goal of nurturing school-community partnerships that enhance teaching and learning, provide support for youth and families, and promote shared resources and services. This year, I am pleased to report that the CEF doubled the number of applicants and recipients, with 8 educators receiving funds totaling approximately $3,450. To be selected for an innovation grant, the CEF requires the following. All proposals must meet a compelling need. They must embed success logistics. Proposals must promote efficiency and value, reflect innovation and engagement, and deliver results that demonstrate impact. All of our recipients submitted applications which encouraged and rewarded innovative classroom instructional approaches, supportive of college and career readiness, technology integration, critical thinking and problem solving, STEM and STEAM, project-based learning, student leadership and collaboration, just to name a few. At this time, I would like to invite the chairman of the Caroline Education Foundation, Mr. Matt Wright, forward to help Caroline County Public Schools acknowledge the Innovation Grant recipients. I ask that the recipients come forward as their names are called and remain standing at the front of the auditorium for a group photo. Antonio Klingscales, Bowling Green Elementary School, Student Support Specialist. Mr. Klingscales' project, called Project Pathway, believes all children are valued and can possess a path for success. The program's mission is to support at-promised 5th grade male students with further developing successful academic and behavioral attributes. His funding will be utilized to support student incentives and tutoring. Mr. Klingscales, please come forward at this time. Patricia Klein, Caroline High School librarian, Life Skills Aquaponics Garden Experiment. Students and teachers at CHS will collaborate to design and build an aquaponics garden. Students with special needs will maintain the established garden and sell the herbs grown in the garden. The funding will be utilized to secure the aquaponics tank and materials to establish the environment in the tank and garden. Simultaneous to this funding, they will work with the CTE department, who will donate materials and use the 3D printer for parts in the building process. Ms. Klein, please come forward. Caroline High School English teacher, Literary and Art Magazine. Students and teachers at Caroline High School will submit poetry, art, short stories, and other pieces of work for the students and club sponsor to evaluate for possible publication in the magazine. Selected pieces will be published in the Literary and Art Magazine. Funding will go towards magazine publishing costs. I do not think Ms. Harrington is able to be with us this evening, so we accept this recognition on her behalf. Mrs. Rebecca Schieber, Madison Elementary School, Instructional Technology Resource Teacher, Coding in Elementary School. Bloxels will provide students the opportunity to learn about the coding that goes on behind video games operations. Students of all abilities will be empowered through teamwork and collaboration with fellow students. Their learning will lead to a culminating project with a focus on social studies and science. The funding will be utilized to purchase the software program called Bloxels. Mrs. Schieber, please join us at the stage. classroom teacher, connecting literacy and STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, in the classroom. Fairy tales have long been used to teach elementary students. Now they will be used for problem-solving activities which incorporate all content areas. Students will read various fairy tales and then complete STEM activities revolving around the fairy tales. For example, build a stronger house to protect those pigs from that big bad wolf. Funding will be utilized to purchase the STEM literacy kit. Ms. Thomas, please come forward and join our other recipients. Barbara Miller, Bowling Green Elementary School gifted teacher. Little Bits for Little Makers. Little Bits for Little Makers will create experiments for students to unlock the mystery behind circuits for things such as a nightlight, an elevator door, and even an iPod with touch. Students will build their own circuits and demonstrate learning through a performance-based oral presentation. The funding will be utilized to purchase the Little Bits learning platform. Mrs. Miller, please join our recipients at the stage. Ms. Tamara Feggins, Bowling Green Elementary School classroom teacher. All students, all the time. Teachers are constantly checking students' understanding and determining knowledge of concepts. Quick and efficient assessments help guide instruction, and clicker systems are one method teachers use to monitor and adjust their instruction. And boy, do students appreciate using these clicker systems. The funding will be used for the Beyond Question clicker system. Ms. Feggins, please come forward to accept the of a CEF Innovation Grant is Teresa Mountjoy, Lewis and Clark Elementary School reading teacher, Kindle Fire Grant. Kindle Fire tablets will be used as a tool with students who struggle with reading comprehension skills. Apps and leveled readers will be downloaded onto the devices to provide additional practice and remediation for students. The funding will be utilized to purchase 8 Kindle Fire tablets and cases for student use. I don't believe Ms. Mountjoy was able to join us this evening, so we will accept this recognition on her behalf. At this time, let's give our innovative teachers and the CEO. Thank you.
Congratulations to all our winners. At this time, we will have Mrs. Dolly Lindsay with recognition of a CHS student representing Virginia at the 2017 U.S. Marine Corps Junior and Cadet Nationals.
This is Pathways 22 highlights, our school and community relations goal 2. This is our recognition for our student that is receiving a CHS representing Virginia at the 2017 U.S. Marine Corps Junior and Cadet Nationals. And I'm going to have Mr. Luke read the letter, which is a very special letter that was sent to us regarding our student, Elizabeth DeSada.
Good evening. Elizabeth received a very, very big honor here with, and this is a wrestling tournament and program. She's an outstanding wrestler at CHS. So I'll go ahead and read the letter that we received a couple of weeks ago. The Virginia Women's Wrestling Committee would like to congratulate Elizabeth DeSado for representing Virginia at the 2017 U.S. Marine Corps Junior and Cadet Nationals. This tournament brings together the nation's best young wrestlers for the world's largest wrestling competition. This year marks the 15th year of the Women's Junior Freestyle Division and the tournament's 47-year history. The tournament produces great stories of champions, many who go on in glory in college and ultimately the world and Olympic levels. In order to participate in this tournament, each young athlete must continue to train after high school, after the winter season, place top 3 at the VAWA Virginia State Championship, and attend a week-long national training camp. Elizabeth DeSato competed in both the women's cadet division, which is ages 14 to 15, and the women's junior division, which is 9th through 12th grade. We would like to acknowledge the hard work and dedication required to compete at this level. As a student and member of your wrestling team, our wrestling team, we know that we have an athlete who has shown dedication, determination, and discipline. As this season kicks off, we're looking forward to continued success of this outstanding athlete, and I would like to add that she took first place in her weight division at the Carolina Invitational on December 2nd. So congratulations, Elizabeth, and all your accomplishments.
Dr. Monroe is going to recognize the Beta Club students that are being inducted at this time.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair Carson, Vice Chair Harris, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. This evening, the school board team, the central office team, and I are excited to be here this evening to recognize our newly inducted Beta Club members representing Bowling Green, Lewis and Clark, and Madison Elementary School. Beta students must have exemplary grades, exhibit good morals, and possess a sense of community and service. Caroline Junior Betas have a history of success, achievements, and service. Last year, for the first time, all interested Caroline Junior Betas attended the state convention in Williamsburg. This group of students boosted multiple state-level awards in academics, engineering, service, and the arts. Students at all elementary schools and the middle school pulled together to host a fundraising and service extravaganza during the months of March, April, and May. Students, sponsors, and parents offered concessions and other opportunities for area events while raising funds for a trip to the national convention. These efforts, coupled with the support from the school board, the community, raised in excess of over $37,000. All interested state winners were offered the opportunity to attend the National Junior Beta Convention in Orlando for the cost of a couple of meals. 44 students, sponsors, and chaperones attended the National Beta Convention for 5 days in June. These students had a once-in-a-lifetime experience while earning 4 national awards for Caroline, boosting national champions in academics, service, visual arts. And these students were able to show that Caroline students are able to compete with the best from all over the country. We know that our newest Beta members will continue to carry the torch of achievement, character, leadership, and service. And this evening, I would like you to join us all in giving our newest Beta inductees a big round of applause. At this time, I would like all sponsors, principals, and assistant principals to come forward as we call our Beta students to the stage for a picture. And can we give all of our Beta sponsors a big round of applause for the Beta? Representing Bowling Green, we have Mrs. Vegas, Mrs. Rollins. Representing Lewis and Clark, we have Mrs. Zirkle and Mr. White. And representing Madison.
Madam Chair, because citizens girls, tonight we have one. Just a reminder to all of our citizens that The process is you may speak for up to 3 minutes. A green, yellow, and red traffic light signal will time the speaker's comments. Speakers may begin talking when the green light is on. After 2 minutes, the yellow light will turn on, letting the speaker know you have 1 minute remaining to make any closing statements. The red light will turn on at the end of your 3 minutes to let the speaker know to end your comments at this time. I would like to invite to the podium 24/7 Campaign Virginia, Lauren and Karen. We saw them last month. They're back.
Hi, my name is Lauren Salceda, and I'm a senior from Riverbend High School. Today, I'm here as a member of Y Street. Y Street is an award-winning youth volunteer program of the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Youth that focuses on promoting healthy living in Virginia. I'm here to talk about how Y Street's 24/7 campaign is helping Virginia schools beat tobacco and e-cigarettes for free, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The 24/7 campaign helps Virginia school divisions adopt, implement, and enforce 100% comprehensive and e-tobacco cigarette-free school policies. Under 100% comprehensive policy, tobacco and e-cigarette use, possession, and distribution is prohibited by anyone, anywhere, at any time. The Caroline County School Division is doing a great job committing to the health of students, staff, and visitors. We spoke to you, the Caroline County School Board, in October, and you invited us to partner with us to update your policy. We are so proud of that, and if this policy is updated, Caroline will serve as an example to other nearby divisions and will join other 100% comprehensive divisions across the state. Thank you for your commitment you have to keeping your students, staff, and visitors in Caroline County Public Schools or school-sponsored activities healthy. Thank you for hearing our voices and partnering with us through the 24/7 campaign to make this happen. We encourage you to vote yes tonight to approve the first reading of this policy. Once you decide to adopt a comprehensive policy, the 24/7 campaign has great ways to support implementing and enforcing the policy. First, we will provide free tobacco-free signage to your schools and your divisions. Second, our free tobacco and e-cigarette-free schools toolkit will be sent to all schools in your division. Third, we will add you to our official 100% comprehensive schools divisions maps and on our handouts and on our websites. Fourth, we will partner with your division to help earn positive publicity for updating the tobacco policy. Finally, middle and high schools in our division will be invited to participate in a Tobacco-Free Spirit Day, a celebration for those divisions with 100% comprehensive policies. On behalf of Y Street, we thank you for taking the time to learn more about 24/7 campaign and look forward to adding Caroline County Schools to our official map of 100% comprehensive divisions.
Madam Chair, there are no more citizens' comments.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak this evening? At this time, we'll move on with the consent agenda with the approval of minutes, school board workshop November 13, 2017, regular meeting November 13, 2017, approval of monthly bills, financial reports, vendor payments, budget status report, approval of homeschool request, approval of religious exemption request.
Chair, I move to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Dr. Rollins Fells?
Aye.
Mr. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris? Mrs. Carson?
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. At this time, we'll move forward with action items, approval of the Division Title I Parent Involvement Policy with Mrs. Lindsay.
Chairperson Carson, Vice Chairperson Harris, members of the board, Dr. Parker. In your packet, you have an updated version of the division parental involvement policy from our Title I and Title III meeting that we met November 30th, the update. And there's just a few changes. If you look at 9A on page 2, the 95% went to a 90%. On page 4, we included packets instead of having things just on the website, because we do that already. We wanted to include that in the policy. And then the last, to be consistent with the other language in the policy, on page 7 at the top, limited English proficient parent information. On page 8, we also took out that R and just put in funded. And those are the few changes that we made.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of Division I Title I Parent Involvement Policy.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Call for Secretary Jones. Sure.
On page 7, do we have our resources translated, Ms. Lindsay?
We have put in the budget for this year to start finishing some of the documents. Yes.
But our registration form is basically enrollment form.
We are working on that. That is a budget item for the FY19 budget item, so that we can get up to date and be in compliance.
Thank you.
Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Copeland? Dr. Rollins Fells? Mr. Spalding?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris? Mrs. Carson?
Aye, motion carried, thank you. And Ms. Lindsay, you're still up with approval of the Title IV Part A grant allocation request to the Board of Supervisors for the appropriation of funds.
Yes, this is our approval. If you remember, we brought the Title IV grant to you for approval, but this now, we received the approval from the Virginia Department of Education. So now we're going to request allocation from the Board of Supervisors because it is not in the budget. So we need to take it forth and get approval from the budget. It's money is allocated to us, is entitlement funds, so we want to get that money.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of the Title IV Part A grant allocation request to the Board of Supervisors for the appropriation of funds of $24,713.08.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Dr. Rollins Fells? Mr. Spalding?
Aye.
Mrs. Harris? Mr. Copeland?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mrs. Carson?
Aye, motion carried, thank you. At this time, we're going to move ahead with our new business, the first reading policy KGC, tobacco use on school property, Dr. Monroe.
Is it Karen? Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Parker, Lauren has done, and Lauren's team has done a phenomenal job based on the lead-in that I'm going to read tonight. I'm going to ask Lauren, if you don't mind, Lauren, if you come on up and stand beside me, just in case there's some questions. An overview of proposed revisions to policy KGC, tobacco use on school premises, is included for your review. It was clear that revisions were needed to policy KGC, tobacco use on school premises, after Lauren and her team presented at the November 2017 school board meeting. Mrs. Tillman and her students presenters represent an organization called Y Street. Y Street is the Virginia Foundation for Healthy Use, an award-winning volunteer initiative for high school students trained to promote healthy, tobacco-free lifestyles. After a comprehensive review of the revisions proposed by the Y Street team to our current policy, it was clear that the Y Street team's revisions meet the requirements for meeting the 100% comprehensive standard for tobacco-free schools. The document submitted for your review has been checked and approved by lawyers at the Tobacco Legal Consortium. The Caroline County Public School team appreciates the board's review of the revisions, additions, and supporting documents, with hopes that the revised policy in its entirety will be approved this evening or upon second reading.
Madam Chair, I suggest that we go ahead and approve this and just make this the final reading.
Is that a motion?
I move we.
Second.
Any discussion that people would like to talk about this?
Yes, I have. Young lady, how does that work? For instance, right now, if we approve that, we go ahead and put the sign up at all the schools, correct?
Yeah, I think one of the major things is the signage, just making sure people are aware of the policies. Also, I know that you guys will later implement it into your code of conduct, which is also very important. Other than that, it focuses more on the policy, it's like enforcement and stuff like that.
Because right now, it's against the law to be smoking or carrying it on the school property to begin with, but we still have problems.
So Y Street is really interesting because it has specific ways to treat, like not necessarily just to punish the people who are smoking, but also to help them with cessation resources. And it offers specific guidelines on how to react when you find someone who's smoking. Like I mentioned before, like just helping them out, or whether it's just communicating with them, and maybe helping other people who might be smoking within the school. So the 24/7 campaign is also very unique because it talks about like e-cigarettes and like chewing, and it focuses on like all school-sponsored events, because I know at my school a lot of people don't know, like say football games, they're not sure whether or not they can smoke or not. So the signage really helps.
If I can add also, Mr. Spalding, in looking at the information that the team shared, it also is information in there for school teams, SRO officers, school administrators as well, to actually address your question, but to also give specifics on how school personnel can, in a very cooperative and collaborative way, address our new policy and as well as enforce it.
Do you have a lot of problems with River Bend?
I feel like not as much as other schools. I think it's still a problem. I still, like sometimes when I go and walk to school, maybe you see like cigarettes on someone's dashboard. So it's still an issue. I wouldn't say it's a huge issue, but it's still a problem in their school.
Don't get me wrong, I'm all for this, 100%. But I just want to know, it's like right now, we have drug-free schools. But every now and then, a little marijuana happens to walk in somewhere or other. And we're not drug-free when that marijuana is in there. And the same way with smoking in the bathroom, so to speak. And it's still a problem. The signs might deter to a certain point, but it's going to take a lot of work out of administrators and the student body. So I'm all for it, but I just want to know how you guys work it up there.
Yeah, a part of Y Street, we have our own club and organization there at Riverbend. We have about 30 students, and one part of it, like you mentioned, we have a 24/7. Our schools have it, but other schools have it. It's called a 24/7 day. It celebrates schools that have 100% comprehensive policy, and part of that is like taking, we do surveys where we survey the students, we survey the staff, and we get like actual numbers every year regarding your school and how it's doing progress and how we can make changes within that school. So I feel like if you were to get on board, we could do more surveys, and we could see how we could change Caroline County school systems tobacco issues.
Is there any further discussion?
Young lady, I just have a question, or just an observation. Does this kind of use the peer pressure and reward students who don't use tobacco or tobacco products? Does that enter into the whole program that you have?
You said using rewards for people who don't use it?
Right, and for using peer pressure as opposed to punitive measures, you're using supportive measures. You follow?
Yeah, you said using positive reinforcement? Okay. I think it really does. It's a lot more cooperative. It doesn't really put more blame on the student, but rather like a lot of help. It doesn't really work from like an ISS, but rather like really talk to them, make sure like they have warnings and stuff like that. Like if you look at the Y Street policies, they have like specific instructions on how to react, and it's very like friendly measures.
Thank you.
Call for the vote, please.
Mrs. Harris. Dr. Rollins Phelps. Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye, motion carried. Thank you so much for bringing this to our schools and to letting us be aware of it. Appreciate that. At this time, I'll have the first reading policy of KGB public conduct conduct on school property with Dr. Monroe.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Parker, now that we have approved policy KGC, it's important now that the adults and the students follow the policy. So an overview of the proposed revisions to policy KGB, public conduct on school property, is included for your review. Revisions to policy KGC, tobacco use on school premises, created the need to also revise policy KGB, public conduct on school property. After comprehensive review of the revisions proposed, again, by the Y Street team to our current policy, it is understood that the Y team's revisions adhere to the requirements for meeting the 100% comprehensive standard for public conduct on school property. The document submitted for your review has been checked and approved by the lawyers at the Tobacco Legal Consortium. Once again, the Caroline County Public School team appreciates the board's review of the revisions, additions, and supporting documents proposed that the revised policy in its entirety will be approved this evening upon second reading.
Madam Chair, I would like to move for a policy KGB, public conduct of school property revision as proposed.
Second.
Is there a discussion? Call for vote, please.
Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Dr. Rollins-Fells.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye, motion carried. And now, Mr. Monroe, Dr. Monroe, we will go ahead with the first read policy of JFCH, tobacco-free school for staff and students.
Thank you, Madam Chair. An overview of the proposed revisions to policy JFCH, tobacco-free schools for staff and students, is included for your review. As noted in the first two lead-ins, it was clear that revisions were needed to policy KGC, tobacco use on school premises, and policy KGB, public conduct on school property. After a comprehensive review of the revisions to both of the aforementioned policies, it was also necessary to make revisions to policy JFCH, tobacco-free school for staff and students. Revisions shared with you now include requirements for meeting the 100% comprehensive standard for a tobacco-free school policy. The document submitted for your review has been checked and approved by lawyers at the Tobacco Legal Consortium. And once again, Caroline County Public School team appreciates the board's review of the revisions, additions, and supporting documents, but hopes that the revised policy in its entirety will be approved this evening.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move for a revision to policy JFCH, tobacco-free school for staff and students as presented.
Second.
Further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Dr. Rollins-Fells. Mr. Spalding.
Aye.
Mrs. Harris. Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Motion carried. Thank you so much, Dr. Monroe. And now we're going to have Dr. Calvert with first reading policy IKFD, alternative paths to attaining standard unit of credit.
Good evening again, Chair Carson, Vice Chair Harris, members of the board, and Dr. Parker. This evening, I will share with you policy IKFD, an optional policy through the VSBA, which affords students from the class of 2018 through 2021 with alternative pathways to attaining standard units of credit. This waiver-based policy enables students to submit a waiver to the traditional 100 clock hour requirement to earn a credit. Specifically, this policy provides flexibility to students, which will somewhat mimic the changes outlined by the VDOE's pending profile of a graduate, which goes into effect next year for the class of 2022. The proposed policy outlines the waiver requirements, which include equitable outcomes, demonstrated mastery of objectives, and evidence maintenance by the school division. CCPS is proposing that a student can earn up to 8 standard credits via the approved waiver process. Students could receive a grade for this alternate pathway. Transcripts would not reflect that the grade and credit were earned via a waiver. There are 3 waiver pathway options: a course that has less than 140 hours, an independent study, and demonstrated achievement via national or international assessment. Before a waiver can be granted, a review of the request must be conducted to determine a qualifying score for awarding a standard credit that equates to the mastery of the VDOE course content and skills. The policy also outlines an appeal process. At this time, I will take any questions as this is a first read of policy IKFD.
Dr. Cavalier, will this apply to CTE programs?
This can actually apply to any VDOE course. What is required is that when a student brings forward a variance request, they have to be able to sit with the administrative team who will be chosen to review their application and ultimately prove that it meets all of the criteria and content-related skills associated with the course. Additionally, there must be a way that is identified in the application for the waiver that the content skills that they would acquire through an alternative pathway would equate to the same level of knowledge and expertise that they would find in a traditional course through the Department of Education. So yes, sir, it really encapsulates all coursework at this point.
Thank you.
I also have a question. Would a guidance counselor also work with students with this?
Absolutely. We actually had a very small committee that was pulled together and represented of an administrator, a school counselor, Dr. Monroe, and myself. And we came and we actually investigated other divisions and how they were operating with this optional policy to see if there were trends with the number of waiver credits that were afforded in the policy. And then we ultimately spoke with the director of counseling at the high school to ensure it was something that they could support with their current staffing as well as with offerings.
I'm sure there'll be more questions once everybody's had a chance to look at this, but thank you very much. Does anyone else have a question for this time? Okay.
Please let me know if anything comes up.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we'll have informational items with Dr. Calvert, the instructional calendar.
Chair Carson, Vice Chair Harris, board members, and Dr. Parker, I am pleased to provide you with a very high-level overview of the 18-19 instructional calendar proposals. Today, hot off the press, if you turn and view the screen behind you, you will see that we have added to our actual website a link that defines the work of the calendar committee. We have open comment occurring regarding two option calendars, option A and option B, which are included within your packet. We will take survey comments regarding option A and option B through December 21st, and we will aggregate all of this data and disaggregate for trends to ensure that the calendar that is brought forward to you for first read in January is representative of the voice of the communities, staff, and students. If we scroll further down on the page, you will see that I have outlined a brief highlight of each calendar and how they are different from one another. Calendar A provides a consistent spring break, which means that the first week of April would remain the spring break moving forward. This was investigated as the neighbors to our south, Hanover, Henrico, Richmond City, Chesterfield, are all bringing this proposal forward to their board in December and January. Obviously, with 60 to 70% of our employee base living outside of our school division, it is critical for us to remain cognizant of what our neighboring divisions are putting forward with proposed calendars. With moving with a first week of April as a consistent spring break, we are also aware of the holiday that comes about later in the later in the month. So we have been able to provide a half day on April 19th and a full day off on April 22nd. Option B provides more traditional spring break, which actually falls prior to the holiday on 4/21 and does provide the Monday 4/22 as a holiday. And then options A and B reflect different dates in March for the end of the third quarter and time allocated for professional work days based on the adjustments made in April for the spring break. All other calendar components remain the same. Below that highlight area, you will see calendar option A and B are both available for people to review. There is a frequently asked questions document for those who choose to delve deeply into calendar and all of the components that go into creating this document. And And then finally, at the very bottom is the feedback link, which if you click upon that feedback link, you will see it's a very simplistic survey. It's simply asking for your email, your name, what your role is, if you're an employee, a parent, guardian, a student, a community member, or other, and which instructional calendar you prefer, and then there is an open field for comments. So again, this is open through December 21st. We ask that you be great champions of calendar feedback as we certainly reflect upon all of the input that we get in coming up with a final product to share with you.
And I believe you put that out in an email today, too.
I did, yes ma'am. All staff has received this, and I'll be working with Debbie Holt to get something out to the parents tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And this time, we're waiting with bated breath on the update on the construction projects at CHS and MES with Mr. Humphrey.
Did I need to bring oxygen? Madam Chairman, Harris, members of the board, Dr. Parker, I'm here tonight to bring you a brief update on the renovations at both Madison and the high school. Madison, we've been working with the contractor to finish up paperwork. Haley has provided, has had a surveyor measure the detention pond and tabulate the dimensions. This information is forwarded to OWPR, and they are evaluating if there's any further work that needs to be done. The contractors also work to try to locate and resolve several small roof leaks that are in the newly built area. At CHS, work continues on the punch list. I'll be meeting to review the punch list with the contractor on Wednesday. He tells me it looks like they've got about enough work for 2 men for 2 days to finish up a lot of the walls and ends. We are still hopeful of having everything wrapped up by January. OWPR has scheduled potential final inspection on January 3rd, and we have all one of the issues resolved with the accountability department. So we're making progress. If you've got any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer.
Question. Did you find where the leak was in front of the high school when you come through the, excuse me, the doors in front? It was leaking in that area there. It was leaking in the front and in the back.
In that storefront, yes, sir. We believe we found it. We really haven't had the type of rain that would challenge that.
Right.
But they've gone back in and put some additional gasketing in and sealed up some openings that were in the storefront. So
Yeah. Was some of those paneling or something was left out in that front there? You know, like covering around the edges of the windows and so forth?
I'm not exactly sure what you're speaking of. But we have
I don't know what you call it. Anyway.
They've gone back and done some additional work there, so
Okay.
I'm optimistic that we just need the right kind of rain. So far, we haven't been, drizzly type rains. We really haven't gotten dry rain to challenge that.
And like I was telling you upstairs, don't forget that elevator.
Yeah, we'll do
That's
something.
nasty. Throw some paint on it or something.
Yeah, the floor. We were waiting until we got all the materials moved around, furniture.
Yeah, I can understand how it got tore up because they were using that to take heavy stuff upstairs and all. But the rugging or the flooring in there is torn up and it's just nasty.
And I guess you know what my question's going to be. The stain on the side of the building, is that going to be done this spring?
Yeah.
Okay.
The weather's precluded us from doing it this fall. I mean, it's just, we had the window of weather we had, the contractor was tied up on something else, and then by the time he was freed up, we need 50-degree weather and a nice dry spell to be able to get it done.
So before school ends, do you have like a game? Would it be done before the end of the school year?
Trust me, I talk to him every 2 weeks,
Okay.
and
You
as
tell
soon
me
as
that.
either one of us sees a window, we're going to be there.
Okay, all right, thank you. I just wanted to bring that up. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much for everything you've done with the job. Appreciate it. Okay, and now we have Dr. Victor Hellman to come forward and
Thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, school board members, superintendent, and staff. It's my pleasure tonight to present to you the budget status report for the month ending November of 2017. When we look at the statement that was included on the tables, you'll note that for the month of November, revenues total $4.9 million. That brings us year-to-date at $21,186,498, or approximately 46.56% of the total budget has been received thus far in revenue. When we look at expenditures for the month of November, we expended $4.175 million, which gives us a year-to-date total of $20,157,245, or we have expended approximately 44.3% of the total budget to date. Also included in the packet, there are the 4 graphs that I think the board is used to seeing, the pie charts. So we included that, but we've also included a third sheet, which is a bar chart that it's my anticipation, or at least my hope, that this would provide you maybe with a more succinct, concise visual representation of where the board is financially at this time. So I'd be more than happy to try being the key word there, answer any questions that you may have.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you so much. Appreciate you stepping in. And at this time, entertain board comments. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, trying to rush along the lunch program with Mr. Hunt. I'm sorry. No, not after all the time and effort you put into it. I'm very sorry. Jump the gun.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Parker. Come for you this evening to give you an update on the alternate meal programming. And before we dive into that, I want to take a second and give you a little bit of background on the program, let you know how we arrived at that. The first page that you had in your presentation there shows you where we stand with our free reduced percentages for the county. You can see that we did tick up a little bit this year. We're at 51%. That is pretty much in line with our historical norms. Next slide, you see that we have a breakdown of the free versus the reduced students. And I did that because that represents the reduced category, those 318 students, represent a unique category for us in that we have made the decision as a division to feed those students at no charge. You may recall that a couple of years ago we started the breakfast program. We were offering breakfast at no charge to those students. This year we did roll out, expand that program and roll it out to lunch. So those 318 students in that reduced category are now actually getting it at no charge to them. So that has made a tremendous impact on the student debt and individuals that may have been looking at an alternative. Back to the next slide. Times negative balance. Okay, negative balances, which lead us into that category. This was a snapshot, just one moment in time, if you will. This report was ran on December the 6th. At this particular time, we had 285 students in the division out of your 4,200 students that actually owed any money at all. You can see that the negative balance was very low. It's only $1,000. That's a very, very small amount of money. If you talk to some of the surrounding counties, they would be so thrilled to have a number that low. If you look at that breakdown too, this number, if you look at it, I'll give you a little background on it. Approximately 1/3 of those students owe less than $2. They wouldn't know do anything at all, but they're in there. Another 1/3 would fall in the less than $5 category. So they've probably gone negative a day. We're getting the notes out to the parents. We're trying to get some response. And then approximately 1/3 of those students would be the ones that are nearing our cutoff. They've not exceeded the cutoff, but they're maybe nearing the cutoff. Those would be the 1/3. So you've got maybe 70, 80 students in the division, and we took this snapshot that might have been looking at hitting their debt limit and needing to look at an alternative meal program. Keep in mind, though, this is just a snapshot of a moment in time. You could come back the next day on the 7th, run that same report, and be only $500. You could come back on the 8th, run it again, and it might be $1,500. This flows, ebbs and flows as parents place money on the student's account. But again, this gives you an idea at that time when we were asked to run this, of how small that number really is. You can see also on the far right-hand side of the screen there where we have the principal's account balance. That program, which we instituted approximately 4 years ago, I believe, has been very beneficial and has really done wonders for helping keep the negative balance in line and to ensuring that we have a very minimal amount of students that run into the alternate program. Some programs that help minimize, help the students and help minimize any need to run an alternate program. Number one, we've already discussed, is the no charge for a reduced category. Again, that's been tremendous. We work directly with social services. We actually download data files approximately every 6 weeks. We do this 7 times over the course of the year to make sure that our information stays current. And we work with them to directly certify these students as qualifying for free reduced categories. This year, we're also testing Medicaid approval. That actually impacted approximately 150 students this year. So those students would also fall into that free category during that program. We hope that we'll see that continue. We do, of course, provide meal applications for all students. The Food Service Department prints out about 5,000 applications at the start of the year, so we know we have plenty to go around. We deliver them to the schools, make sure the offices have sufficient applications so that every student has that opportunity to fill out an application. We mentioned the principal's discretionary account, which again has been very beneficial. That is funded by donations, which we get from local businesses, organizations, churches, and individuals. As well as another part of the program is the My School Bucks. If you're familiar with My School Bucks, this has been a really good program. We've actually had this in place for about 5 years now. This is a computer program that's available to the parents, students also for that matter. They can access it on their phone or mobile device. Very important part of this is that it provides account balances for the parents. So that morning they can pull it right up on their phone. They know how much money is in that account for their students. So it really helps them. Maintains some responsibility there. It also shows purchase history, which can let them know if little Johnny is running all the money out because they're buying chips and stuff for lunch. The parents really like that. It provides an automatic low balance of work for the parents, so that again they're notified. They're not just depending on us. We have other tools now. It can provide low balance payments if they choose to do that, as well as automatic payments. So that is a wonderful tool that we have in place that again has really helped this program. And all that gets us to the alternative meal itself. Now, this is not the meal that we see people screaming about in the papers and all the bad publicity. Years ago, when I first came on board, they would literally hand the student a cheese sandwich and tell them to drink water. And that was a long time ago. That just doesn't happen anymore. The focus on nutrition. Some years ago, we changed to an alternate meal program where the student now is given a complete meal. They have a hot vegetable choice, just like any other student. If they're coming through the line, they can have fresh fruit, just like any other student coming through the line. They would be given grilled cheese instead of the primary entree. So that's really the only thing where they're going to stumble a little bit. They get that little Johnny I always refer to. You may go home and tell Mom, I didn't get my pizza today, but he's not going to say he didn't get lunch. He's going to get a nice lunch and meal. The last slide. And I just did an example of what a meal might look like. Again, this is going to vary every day of the week, depending on what we happen to have on the menu. That could be an orange banana, whatever the fruit may be, but they're going to get a full plate of food. They're not going to go away hungry. The meal actually constitutes a complete meal. It actually looks very similar to my menu when we menu grilled cheese with tomato soup. They're very similar. So it's a complete meal. And I would emphasize that we're at a point now where this is almost never served. We have very, very few students. I surveyed the cafeteria managers. And we're just curious, how many did you serve last week? And the number I heard from most of them was one. And that was normally because they know that student, and they know that student's been giving them, bringing in $30, $40 on a regular basis, dropping it on the account, so they know the students. If they're not familiar, they're not sure what's going on, they are directed, and they're very good about working with the principals and the counselors to find out that, hey, this kid's hit his limit, what's going on, and should we take action, should we not? And the principal gives that principal that opportunity to go, yeah, they're struggling, we need to take care of them. And the principal are really, really good about using that principal's discretionary fund to make sure the child is taken care of. Anybody have any questions?
Yes. I specifically asked for this and for Chair Carson to include this on the agenda, mainly because I had a mother call me specifically, said her child got cheese sandwiches, and she probably got this nice hot veggie fruit cheese sandwich, but that was after he was at his table with his pizza, and it was removed and replaced. And it is the first time I've heard that that has ever happened. She was upset, and I tried to get some more information, and of course I went to the LCES and got some more background information, what's going on, and even physically how the kids cycle through. Do they find out before they get to the line, or at the end of the line, how just exactly how it functions. And I talked to one of my neighbors who has had many children in middle school, high school, and now has them in LCES. And she uses the My Bucks program, My School Bucks. And I didn't know about that until she told me about it, and then I researched it. And it does kind of erase one of the issues I had with that particular parent, and that was notification. I will promptly make sure that if she doesn't have the app, that she gets the app or quits worrying us about it, because there's plenty of opportunity for her to fund the account. But it was the initial shock of a student getting food and then having it replaced. I can understand in the line, probably not anybody's going to know much in the way of difference. However, if it's done publicly, right on the table, then that person's been singled out.
I'm not sure who would do that, because our staff would not step out in the cafeteria.
I didn't get a name as to who did it. If I got the child and parent.
I can say our system, the computer system that we utilize, does not identify the student's category but will only identify whether or not the student owes money or not when they hit the cash in. That's all it is, because they are typing in their number. The cashier at that point says thank you, and that's kind of the end of it. Once they step out of the line, we've handed them off to the school staff. But they would be, at that point, that it's still in the serving areas where we would be able to identify whether there's an issue with their account. Should never happen. After that, there should be no public issue.
And that's my point. That would be my total position, that if the mistake is made, just let the kid go, let them sit down and eat. Don't worry about it if our funds and usage is so small. At the point that you gave us here on 12/6, that's $3.73 for each 285 students. And there's certainly enough funds in the principal's account balance to cover it at any time.
I'm actually glad you brought that point up. I was debating whether to address that. One thing you'd have to realize is we took the balance on that particular day, for example, and you used the principal's fund to pay that balance off. There would be very little money left in the principal's fund, and that balance would probably reappear within a matter of a day or two. Again, because of the way it flows. And this is one of the unfortunate things about some of the donations that we received. We had an anonymous donor, for example, I'm sure it was Bowling Green, that came in and said, what's your negative balances? And that particular time was very small, maybe $140 in the whole school. I want to pay for it. Well, that's wonderful. We explained our program, we explained the principal's fund, how it's good to identify students, how we can take care of those in need. But no, I'm going to pay for everybody. We took their money, we paid for all the accounts. The very next day, we back up to $100 again, because that's just the nature of the way this thing ebbs and flows. So it can be difficult to identify that. So again, you've got to have the alternate meal there as a tool in your toolbox. It's It's way back in the back, you hope you don't have to pull it out, but every now and then you gotta pull it out. It can be a useful tool to address some of the parents that you know have plenty of funds. Again, it only impacts the paid, that 49% of our students have fallen in the paid category. Doesn't impact anybody else. So it's a nice tool to have to motivate them, but it's one that we obviously don't want to use very often.
And that, you bring up another point of mine, that's using a punitive tool on the student to punish the parent, which, in my opinion, is unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable to punish a child for the actions of
That's why we ensure that they receive a nice balance to deal.
And we're still punishing the child for the actions of the parent.
Well, the alternative is if you provide them with a regular meal, they can no longer, it would have to be paid for by the school division, and it would come out of instruction and funds. There's the catch-22, is that if we don't take some action to identify that we're doing something different, that if you choose to simply allow the debt to be run up, the school division would end up paying for that. Not the food service department. USDA actually, that's illegal. You can't do that, it's not allowed. So if you wanted to go down that route, you've got to realize you're going to have to put it into the budget and set aside funds to cover that. And the scary part is, and I think I mentioned that in my little cover letter, that there are school divisions that have done this. I think Dr. Parker's had experience with this before. It starts off so small, you go, well, of course we can fund that. It's only a little bit of money. But it's funny how with human nature, once parents realize, I don't have to pay that anymore, they don't. And you'll go with a little number, you go, well, I'm only going to fund $100 will be, maybe $200, it's nothing. And within a year, all of a sudden, you're going to be looking at a number in a school division this size might be $20,000. Because it can easily be, $1,000 a week. I mean, easily. And I'm probably on the low side. I mean, there's school divisions that run in $600,000 debts. So you've got to be very, very, I understand what you're saying, but you've got to be very careful.
Madam Chair,
Do I talk too long?
I don't want to belabor the point. I'm passionate about this issue as well. Safety, quality instruction, and making sure kids are fed. Because we know the demographic that we're serving. So here's my question. What is the debt limit?
Currently, we set it at 3 days of breakfast and lunch, which is 12 hours.
And
We don't really advertise that. The computer does that.
all right. My second question has to do with the data download from social services. So I just want to make sure I understand that. So if we have families that qualify for services, there's a data exchange that allows us to know who those families are. And then they automatically come into our system and we categorize them as free or reduced based on.
Social Services provides us with that data file. I'll be honest, I don't know what their qualifying factors are. I believe they're based on income, but their qualifying factors are different from our qualifying factors. And once they provided us with that data file, it's downloaded immediately and it's effective the next day. And again, we do that 7 times during the course of the school year. So their information is very current. And one of the, it is good for the rest of the school year. So whether we get that information in August or we get it in December, they're going to have the benefits for the whole year. We'll actually get them starting in the next school year.
And the only reason why I asked that question is, does that eliminate the student having to take home that paperwork, the parents filling it out?
Yes, it does.
Replace that?
Yes, it does. So even though we give those out, we, of course, the school system would have no way of knowing who falls into that category. So even though we give the applications to everyone, we actually end up only getting about 2,000 of those applications back that we filled out, because many of the parents know they fall into this.
Sounds good to me. Sounds like the system is what I was questioning. The system is in place. It's automatically capturing those folks. So thank you.
I just have one question, Mr. Conley. If buses are late, which sometimes they are children allowed to get their breakfast and take it to their class, or what? Because we know some of them may come in and not had dinner the night before. So I just want to know if they get their
Our
breakfast.
cafeteria is instructed to feed any students that are brought to the cafeteria, they do not. So we would be feeding them now, whether the principal has to go to the classroom,
Or
sit in the
stay.
cafeteria, that I part I would not be able to address, but we make sure we keep them fit like, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Conley.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to move on to board comments.
this holiday season, how thankful I am for the staff that we have both at central office and in the schools. I know that this isn't an easy job as a classroom teacher myself. Sometimes it gets stressful, and I know, I just said today, God bless the teachers next week as we move towards holiday break. Hang on, and thank you again for everyone for all that you do.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things here. First of all, take your legislator to school. I had more fun than the legislators did. I really, really enjoyed it. A couple of classes, I didn't want to leave. I was like ready to tell people, y'all go on. I'm going to stay here. I was so engrossed, but it's so much fun. After it's over with, I thought, we don't need legislators. I mean, that's fine, they go, but we ought to do that more often, just to get into the classroom, get down and see what's going on. So I wanted to tell you about that. And the other thing is, the first semester is almost over with. We're almost through it. And I want to say to the staff at central office, and the whole staff, there's not very many here tonight, that we really appreciate getting through this first semester real good. And I want all of you to have a good Christmas holiday. Enjoy the days, get rested up, don't eat too much, and be ready to go New Year's. Thank you.
Ms. Hare? I have a few comments. We were really lucky to get to go to the VSBA conference, and all of the board was able to attend this year, and we heard some wonderful motivational speakers. We all got to go to breakout sessions and bring some things back, and I already gave Dr. Parker some information to pass on to Dr. Monroe about a math program maybe we could check into, and about the teaching program, Teachers for Tomorrow, where we used to have that program. I went to one of the sessions for that I thought would be wonderful if we could bring that back, because it really was a wonderful program. And then I also wanted to say, the camaraderie that we all got to be together, and it was not in a school setting, and it was not talking about school, it was just enjoying each other, which we don't usually get to do very often. And it was just really nice. It was a wonderful weekend, good weather. And thank you for letting us go. I also wanted to say that I volunteer in I mentor one and volunteer in 3 different other classrooms, and I get to see a lot of the different schools I go to. But something that really warms your heart this time of year, the Bullock, Mrs. Fagans received an award tonight for, I don't know what her grant was about, but anyway, the beta students that she works with have cut and made flannel blankets for every person in the nursing home in Bowling Green, which that is so admirable, because I got to count and bag them for them to take, so that's how I knew they were doing it. And it was, they raised their own money to buy the flannel, and then they cut edges, and they're really adorable, and I was so proud of them. And I just thought, that just really shows the buy-in that they have with the community, and they're building a relationship there, which that's what we need to do to make the community more part of our school system. And then I also wanted to give a shout out to the CMS boys basketball team. They have had some really tough games and played some really hard competitive ones. I know they had a big loss at St. Christopher's, I believe. Or I believe it was, wasn't it, in Richmond? I don't know, St. Christopher's. I think they lost right badly. But anyway, they've had some great games. I went to 2 here last week, and they were wonderful. And Ms. Mott brings the band in, and the cheerleaders are there. It's just like going to a real event. So it's just really nice to get to see that. And I also want to say a shout out to the calendar committee I'm on. We worked really hard last week on that, and it really, we had good input from the community, and a lot of thought was put into that calendar, and I think they came up with some really good ideas, and thank everyone for the hard work they do. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Yes, I do have some comments. A couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go on a tour of the governor's school, and there was an overwhelming response from the students. I think we had 25, 27 students on the tour. They were all thrilled about the snack room, where they could have mac and cheese. But they were also very interested in the computer-based learning and the field trip. So I just thought that was a great opportunity. I was glad to see such an overwhelming response to that. The second thing that I wanted to talk about is just to encourage the board members for us to find a way to make sure that we're communicating with our constituents. So that was the comment that I had coming in. I'm so glad to see the calendar with the open feedback, so perhaps we're sharing that link, as you're seeing people, to make sure that the feedback actually represents, what the population is. And then the last thing is really a kudos. I'm a huge cheerleader of our student system, and I think it is something to note that there were 76 names on that beta list. Those are the top of the top performers. A few months ago, our beta club was in Williamsburg, and I happened to just come through and check things out, and I shared last month that our students were there in blazers. So they're looking the part, they're acting the part, and that is something to be celebrated, because they're at a young age. They're at a young lady here, and in the letter, it describes that she is Olympic potential. That is the narrative that we need to celebrate and make sure that we get out there. And then the last comment really has to do with the sign language group that was here. We are creating a pipeline, and when we look at CTE courses and alternative classes, we're balancing that with student interest, but also technical skills. And I just wanted to share, as we go on our holiday break, a situation that happened in the sign language class. The students had come in, they were learning. This happened, I think, in the first 2 or 3 weeks. They had just the basics. Hi, my name is, the finger spelling. And there was a young lady who actually had some hearing challenges that came into the classroom. And she was signing to the teacher and asking if she could speak to the class. And as she was signing and introducing herself, the students were actually signing back. And the young lady said, "Can they understand me?" And the teacher responded, "Yes." And the feedback that I got from the students pretty much was that their hope and faith in humanity had been restored in that one moment. There was a child who could actually fully participate in an environment because her peers were learning what she needed to be included and involved. So I just want to say kudos to everybody that championed that program. Those are the types of things that we need to continue to pursue, and that's the message that I'd like for us to share and to get out. So if we can continue that just sentiment of the situation that happened in the sign language class, I'm sure we'll come back from the holiday break ready to rock and roll and get second semester underway. Thank you so much.
And at this time, we're going to have superintendent's comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I don't have much of a voice.
I don't have much of a voice, so I will keep my remarks fairly brief. One, I wanted to, we're going to show a video in a moment on the Take the Legislators to School Day, which was held in November. I think the video will speak for itself. To Mr. Mahoney, thank you for being here. Next year, we definitely have to send you an invitation. You have never had as much fun as hanging out all day long in the schools and seeing the kids do great things, and the teachers do the great work that they're doing. We're very proud of that. My only general remark is that as we move into the holiday, I'd like to thank the board for their continued trust and support of my administrators, my administrative team, my principals, and our teachers. It seems that no matter how the school year is going, whatever the challenges may be, we really support each other, and we do a great job of having a united front when needed to protect our school division and protect our kids. And I think we kept the main thing this year, but we've been able to do that because of the leadership that we had at this dais right here with the school board and with our principals in our schools. And I'd like to thank you all for the support that you exude every day as we move our mission forward, which is to educate children, to raise competent citizens, and to ensure that these kids get the best education possible in Caroline County. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead with the video. Is it ready? or is it?
It's actually a PowerPoint.
PowerPoint?
If you prefer, I'm happy to narrate
You wanna narrate?
the
There you
slides
go.
since you are lacking in voice.
There you go. Thank you.
On November 28th, we were able to embark on a trip across the county. We focused on all 5 schools and were able to begin at Lewis and Clark and learn about a wide array of programs. We then would transition over to Madison, and we ultimately learned about STEM programs. We had Buddy Fowler join us. We had members from the Board of Supervisors that joined us. While at Madison, we were able to participate in the STEM lab activity. We also were able to join in the classrooms and view one of our new classroom endeavors take place, which is a program called Emerging Scholars. No, Young Explorers, excuse me, I'm combining 2 programs. And this is actually evidence of the program. All second grade students are gaining access on a daily basis to a 15-minute activity that fosters innovation, creativity, and problem solving. Obviously, here is our Bowling Green town mayor. This is Mrs. Carson, Mrs. Harris. And as you can see, Mr. Spalding had a lovely time doing the activity associated with problem solving. I happened to be in that classroom, and I'll tell you, he has a competitive spirit about him.
No.
We then transitioned from Madison over to the middle school and were treated to a tour by the students, but also spent quite a bit of time learning more about the agricultural program that has taken root at the middle school. At the high school, we were treated to culinary delicacies, which you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. And then we also were able to go into a classroom to see the digital conversion underway in a science classroom. We ventured into the Diversified Studies program to learn more about our students using alternative paths to be successful and reach graduation. And then thirdly, we learned more about their art program and how students are using art skills to consider future careers.
Thank you, Dr. Kepler. I think we'll package that up and maybe get it to the board of supervisors as well. I think they'd appreciate receiving those photos. It was a great day. There's been many good things happening in the school division, and we got to continue to get good news out to our community, because I think oftentimes the negative seems to float to the top, but there's a lot of good stuff in the middle of that that needs to get out. So be an advocate. If I can say anything, we're all advocates for the school division. We continue to send the resounding message that we put kids first, and we'll be all right. Everything's going well. So I wish also everyone a happy holidays, and hope you have a safe holidays and come back to us in January.
At this time, we're going to go into closed session for personnel, the discussion of appointments, resignations, requests for family medical leave, stipends for department grade level chairs, club sponsors, mentors, media and content liaisons, webmasters, retirement, and coaches list is authorized by section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Second, we call for the vote, please.
Dr. Rollins Wells. Mrs. Harris. Mr. Spalding. Mr. Copeland.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mrs. Carson.
Aye. Move on to closed session.